And the show will start in 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, my name's David. We'll be talking about a few topics today, and of which will be religion and dogma, cultism and mysticism, and mysteries, with also science and metaphysics. These things have several things in common, but they are different in their own way. And I'm going to show how you can combine these constructs together and create a system that can work for you, or you can create different systems. Now, some people will say that, well, these systems can't work with each other, or certain systems cannot work because they'll contradict the other. These are just, for me, just not in the higher field of God consciousness. I'm sorry, not to be true, and that's hard to explain. Like, I don't accept everything that the Bible says about how you should live, or what the dogma is about how you should pray. There's my cigarette papers. I don't know why I had those out, but we're just going to go over to. I just made an altar, and I'm learning as I go. I'm pretty new to spirit mysteries, and occult mysteries. I'm sorry, and the mystery traditions, and I've gotten into it. Like, I was in a dark place. I went to jail. You know what I mean? I had some problems in my life, and while I was in there, I've had a few dark times in my life. I guess that's why certain people come to these traditions, like so a lot of the great teachers, Jesus, Buddha, and Gandhi, and there's, to name a few. And it's also said in, I think, some Hermetic philosophy, or it's one of these, I can't remember which book it is, but you go through trials, and you go through, a spiritual depression before you can reach the enlightenment, to be able to fully appreciate it for what it really is, because you have to go all the way down to build yourself up a brand new person. So in a way, I'm kind of, it's kind of like it's a duality aspect, I guess, where, just because bad things happen doesn't mean it's necessarily bad in the future. So that's how I'm trying to look on the positive side to everything, but you can't let it fully positive. You can't let positive always, it's going to be positive. That can be a trick. So you have to watch out, and you have to have your guard up, but at the same time, try to be the best and positive and moral person that you can be. So we're going to discuss the altar today and what I got going on here. And some of it, I'm still learning. Might not be astrologically correct, or, the elements and stuff. But some of it does have synchronicity within what I got going on. And this is actually an ancestor kind of shrine. And I don't worship my ancestors. So I'm just giving tribute to them, and basically showing them respect, and hopefully, some of the honor and spirit energy will reach them if they're able to get it. And it kind of reminds me of my family tree, and the past, and the family, and that's important to me, because I really don't know my dad's side of the family too well, and my mom's side of the family is basically they're all dying off. So this is real important to me. So this, even though they're passed away, I mean, they're still my family, and I choose to believe that they're still out there. You're just in another form. So, all right. So first, we're going to go from right to left. I'm just going to tell you about these pictures. Similar to this cross I have on this Bible, but I'm getting ahead of myself. This is the Rosy Cross, I believe. It's got some symbolism from the Rosicrucian and I think the Hermetic Society. I could be wrong about the Hermetic, but I don't quite know what the symbolism means. But I think it's real cool, and I don't like to know more about it, because I know all these symbols have some type of spiritual and enhanced wisdom that it locks certain psychic features, not psychic, but features in your brain that that are hard to unlock, and it does something to you. You know, you can't move too fast in it because it'll drive you crazy, from what I've been told. And that's with anything. You can't move too fast in anything, man. You just got to take it slow, absorb it. You know, if you rush it, man, just like, you know, Adam and Eve, you know, from the fall, and they wanted to be like God. I'm sorry, eat the apple because it was forbidden, and I guess the Satan or the Lucifer. I mean, in some occult traditions, these are like different entities, and I don't know quite too much about that, but the point being is they rushed it, whereas they could have just, you know, let it gradually progress, and they could have been godlike or close to God, because God's, you know, it is said that He made us in His own image. So it's for us to figure out these mysteries, to become more God conscious like Him. I think that's ultimately what He wants, not for us to be developing just rituals and stale rules and ecclesiastical forms to, you know, control people and, you know, money, power, and, you know, it's not about that, man. It has a deeper meaning than what the religions have done to these spiritual traditions. So we got here the Tariot, what does it say? Talisman image of Adonai, Ha-Aredes or something. And she's seen like with wings, and she's holding, I think, wheat in her left hand and a cup in her right hand. And these have significant meanings. I don't quite know too much about that, and I might have to look that up. But it seems like there's a she's in a scrying ball or something like that. But I don't know too much about that, and I guess we'll get back to that later, maybe in another video. And above this, we have what you call, I think this is Christian Kabbalism. You know, where they have the cross right there. In the normal Kabbalah, the Jewish tradition, it's a tree of life, and I think I like this version better for right now because it seems more simple. I don't know too much about that, but it's kind of like the same means, but different kind of ways psychologically you get to the same enlightenment. So I think it's very fascinating, to say the least. And this cross looks real cool. I mean, it has all these symbols in it. You know, I figure these symbols around here are the elemental powers, and it has the Hebrew in the middle, the pentagram, which a lot of people think the pentagram is just all Satan. You know, the inverted pentagram is just, I think it's a negative force. It's like a force of aggression, and then the positive, it's upright, is for protection. It's good. It's like a feminine and masculine elements to it. So and then you got the Kabbalah, like I said. I mean, it doesn't have the letters written on there in the Hebrew and all the aspects and the planets, and I'm still learning that as well. And I'd like to take this system and actually try to apply this at some point in my studies, but I'm not quite to that just yet. I'm just kind of skimming over everything, trying to absorb everything that I can. It's real fascinating. So we're going to get over here to the floor. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I have a Bible, and it's a pretty old Bible. It belonged to my great grandmother, and either my grandmother or my great grandmother. I have to look it up actually. But I have it open up to Psalms, and Psalms are said to be great spirit. You know, they ward off evil spirits very well, and even in these old grimoires. In Renaissance magic, a lot of these magicians would use psalms to get rid of evil spirits or to banish or you know, some of that sort. And I've heard this the other day, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I'm definitely going to research this in references. They say some of the psalms were actually Egyptian originally developed in Egypt, and they just switched the God names over to Jehovah, incorporated it into religion. So that's another thing. It's hypocritical for a religion to say you can't incorporate something else because it goes against, you know, what they believe in, but they incorporate from other religions. It's so hypocritical, and God warns us of being hypocritical too. So, you know, you got to develop your own moralism, you know, and not listen to man saying, you're going to go to hell or you're going to be damned if you don't believe in the way I believe. This is what you call division, and I don't think God wanted that. And in Islam, they call it I think it's fiqh or something. I'm not too sure what the translation is, but that's a big sin. It's like it's worse than murder in Islam, uh, and I think in the Abrahamic traditions it's pretty bad. So division is pretty bad. But it just depends on how you say the word and what aspect you're trying to use it in. I guess in religion, or yeah, religion. I guess it could be bad to them. I believe in plurality and just way you want to do it or whatever works for you. So we're gonna move on. I got this bowl of holy water right there. It's not even holy. I'm sorry. It's just water. I have to consecrate it or bless it to be holy by reading one of these psalms. And you don't necessarily, you can get it blessed by a priest, but I don't think you have to do that. I think possibly if you put more energy into it, because who knows, these priests, I mean, they're always getting caught, with kids and stuff. Who knows, you might get one of those guys, and who knows, you might be drinking like some pretty evil stuff. So yeah, just beware, it's just the title, you know what I mean? They're saying that it has more importance. Now, I am a Christian, and we'll get to that, but I'm also a mystery student and a magician, a would-be magician studying magic and believing there are other ways that the world works, and we're slowly becoming to realize that with metaphysics and down to the quantum level, that these aren't just hocus pocus things. This is actually science, and science is always refuting. Well, now we believe it's true to be a fact, even though they denied it before. They're always changing their stance. It's almost like they're their religion too, So we're just keeping an eye on that later. But I got some. Actually, I'm sorry, I switched like that. But I have some salt right here, and I heard salt has a protective quality too. Like some grimoires, the magician pours salt around the ring and it keeps entities from disrupting the circle. And also, I have knives right here pointing outwards, kind of to protect this whole area. And they were my family's knives, so it's like they're protected with their own knives. So it has some spiritual significance to me, some importance. And I guess we're gonna move on. And this is kind of a cool little construct that I made under here. So I'm gonna lift this veil for a second. This is kind of like a veil since it's just hanging over. Because originally I wanted a cloth that covered this whole thing, but this ended up just coming over. So I said, I don't know, I'll make something out of this. And it popped in my head at once, like it was just like not astral, but it was just like beamed into my head by something. And that could be just my inner psyche, or it could be a outer deal, where something outside of my body put it in there. I don't know. So I guess for talk. But anyways, behind this this book of Psalms, I have this cool looking. It's a picture frame, and it has these I don't know what kind of hexagram or whatever that is, but they're, occult sciences and especially sacred geometry. It's all about these hexagrams and octagons and stuff like that. These shapes on a quantum level seem to appear in every element. In material, and it all goes back to these shapes that make up all matter. So I think there's some energy and significance to that. These are God's laws, that He set out for us to discover. So I'm gonna get on with it. This is kind of like a cage that goes into this inner part, and say books like this book of the Lesser Keys of Solomon and the Greater Key of Solomon. These are, considered by traditional Christians as being pretty demonic. So is this Necronomicon, even though a lot of occultists think it'd be entirely a work of fiction, but there's quite a bit that think it is a real actual grimoire and claim that the spells work. It is also said to be one of the most dangerous black magic books in the world. But I think possibly, I don't know. It just depends. Like they say this one's one of the darkest magic books, but I've looked online like uh, the Grand Grimoire or something like that, and Petty Albert is pretty demonic. They say. What else? The Picatrix, which is an Arab. It's kind of like astrology magic or talismanic magic, and they talk about like dead body parts, and you do this, you cut a bat's blood, and whatever, all this kind of crazy stuff, So, I mean, that's I guess crazy is open for interpretation, but I mean, just stuff that like traditional Christians would think as like taboo and of the devil. So, this book, Lesser Keys and Greater Keys of Solomon, was I guess translated by Crowley and Mathers, two influential occultists. Crowley is said to be one of the most infamous, and he definitely mattered to a lot of 19th century occultism, and he brought some ideas out there. He also wrote the Book of the Law, which was the Thelema, and he came up with the tradition, do as I will, which is kind of implying that to here, do what you will, do whatever feels good to you spiritually, but that also, you don't want to go too far on the extreme. You have to have, I have to say and I think should have some order or some synchronicity or sacred, duality and polarity and all these things, measurements and planetary, stuff, rules that give it some type of dominant spiritual force. Like, I mean, because theoretically you'd be able to do anything. Anybody can do it without, it becomes just like a religion almost. Like, well, this is what you believe, and yeah, that's all you got to do to be saved, and you're good. You just make up stuff all over the place, and you're good. I think it goes just a little bit deeper than that. And we can get into a debate about all that later, and I really don't feel like debating about that right now because I'm not educated on that very thoroughly, and I'm not going to speak on things I really am ignorant of and pretend like I know. So that's just not a soluble thing that's good to do, in my opinion. And we're going to move on to this book right here. It's called The Golden Dawn, and I've taken pages out of this and I put it on the wall. It helps me to keep that idea of like the tree of life, and and I think it looks neat, and it keeps the symbols fresh in my mind, so I'm able to learn quicker. And this book, The Golden Dawn, is out of it's an order of the Hermeticists, and they're one of the most influential modern occult orders in the world. They say in the book that they're more influential than Freemasonry. So there's a lot of conspiracy theory on all that stuff. You don't necessarily agree that Freemasonry, they're like way up in the food chain, or even some of the bad stuff. I mean, they could be. So, I mean, certain elements of them could be involved in some pretty dark stuff. But that stuff is just there to get views, and there's a lot of crap going on the internet, honestly. So who knows? I like conspiracy theory. We can get down there if you want, down deep down the rabbit hole if you want to go there. And if you guys just, if you want to leave in the comments that you want to talk about certain subjects, just let me know. And if we can do that, we'll definitely make it a goal to do so. And let's move on next to up here. I have this Kabbalion. It's called the Kabbalion, and it has quite a bit of the main elements of Hermetic philosophy. It's made out of this nice, real, this leather hardback, and I think it's just a beautiful edition. And the pages are beautiful, and the way it's written, and it's said to be written. The Corpus Hermeticum is the original text of the whole philosophy, and it's said to be written by this dude named Hermes Trismegistus. I think that's how you say his name. That he was this figure that was held in high esteem way back in the day. I think he was like All the way up to like, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys correct me if I'm mistaken on anything, because I don't want to say this in the future. I like learning too. The ego will tell you, "Oh, I'm right." No, you can't. You can't correct me, but I'm past that. I'm trying to God consciousness. We got to practice on that. Helps us be better people. But anyways, what was I saying? Hermes Trismegistus was believed to be in high, maybe even higher esteem all the way up to about 200 or 300 years ago, comparable to Jesus. And because he lived longer, I mean, he was before Jesus was born, and his philosophy and teachings were held in high regard. But we now know that probably Hermes was a mythological character, but nevertheless, it doesn't change the message that's in it. And I think that the old knowledge and probably still new knowledge from ignorant people. I mean, I don't want to say that. That's kind of bad, to say that, because a lot of old knowledge does have a lot of truth. But the notion that the older it is, that means the better it is. I mean, that's not necessarily true. I mean, because there's some new stuff out there that is great. So we'll move on from that. And I have the Bible right here. This is, I think I said that already, but it's on the right. It doesn't mean it's more than the occult stuff or even better. It's just right now in my life, with religion, right now it's more dominant, and it needs to be more dominant. Now, as I learn, as I go and I pick up more information and learn more about it, maybe this might be placed on the right and that on the left. It doesn't mean one is better than the other. It just means, which one influences you more. They both have an equal purpose. And, a lot of, I'm here to say that you can be a Christian and be a magician. I'm here to say that you can believe in science and be a Christian. And most people do, but before, when the Catholic Church was there, I mean, you were a heretic. This is the problem. When institutions force belief on you, either through, and it happened around 300 something AD in the Roman Empire, where Christianity was made the official religion, and people were forced to convert, either through intimidation, or you couldn't get a great job, or your influence wasn't great, and you couldn't how do you call it? You couldn't make good contacts with people. Nobody wanted to mess with you. I guess it was more of a business and a social hierarchy. In other words, I guess, that helped people. The religion helped them with that. And others, I guess, didn't want to be outcasts. So, I mean, it was just, all these things come together at once, and it just took off. And I think the original, inspiration was there were a lot of martyrs within Christianity. People were actually dying for what they believed in. Now, this is beautiful in a way. It's not beautiful that they died, but the passion and the love they had for what they believed in. And that is what you call true spiritualism. That they are willing to die for it, not just pick it up because it's useful in economics, or you just did it because you're forced to. No, these people weren't forced. They could have converted or said, "Hey, I'm done with it," or possibly not. Maybe just got killed anyways. But they could have, they fought. They died for what they believe in, and that's one of the highest sacrifices you can make. And I think the early Christianity. Jesus was a teacher. He came to fulfill the law, not the other way. And he came to set you free, man. He came to set you free. He wanted to set you free from these institutions like the Judaic Sharia type law, and all the priests, they had all the rights, and people didn't have the holy text, and in the Catholic Church, what they did was they did the same thing as the Jewish church, but in a more, I guess you would say, polytheistic way. They incorporated, some of the mystery traditions along with Greek mysteries like Zeus. They incorporated it, and I think that's how Christianity kind of took off too. was, the Trinity was an easy, I guess, concept to grab because I mean you had three uh, people or three separate natures that are one God. It was easier to grasp the one God with three natures, I guess, because it's what you have in old traditions this pattern of Isis, and then you have or Isis or and what was it, Osiris. Uh, you know, you always and they have a son or something like that. I think Osiris was the son, and Isis and I'm still learning. I'm sorry, but these characters, the, the mother of God, and then you have the son of God, and the rebirth. I'm talking about the death and then the resurrection. This continues throughout a lot of different traditions, and so that could be reincarnations of different Christs. Who knows? You know what I mean? So we can just go along with that. And next, we're going to get to this is the I guess the food. I think I've said that, and this is the incense in there. Just makes the the place smell real good for any spirit that I evoke or daemon, if I choose to do so. Who knows? I might not even work with those. I mean, maybe just the angelic powers. And another thing, people say I don't even like to try to say demon. I mean, demon sounds kind of cooler to me because it has that, a spooky element. You're messing with something that is potentially very powerful and hard to control, but also you can gain great wealth or great things from this thing because it is a spirit that is kind of allowed to work in our world and get things done, whereas celestial spirits, I think, work in your physical body or your psyche and help you accomplish things through your psyche. I could be wrong, but they're from the astral, the astral realm, and I think they have a higher purpose to getting things done. Being slaves for humankind to get these petty things done that you want for your carnal desires. I mean, that's basically what it is. You're enslaving the demons. The demons don't want to work for you. They don't want to come. You have to. It says in the Lesser of Solomon that you have to invoke them and say conjurations. If that conjuration doesn't work, there's a greater conjuration. And if that doesn't work, there's another one. And then if he still doesn't come, it's a curse. And then when he comes to appear before you, you have the triangle covered up so he's not scared or something like that. Because once he comes, you pull that cover off and he sees that sigil. And that's his sigil bound with that holy drawing, because you've already consecrated it in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. That demon has no power but to obey your command. So you're not invoking the demon as like you're worshiping it per se. You're not putting it over God. You're actually treating it like a little bitch. I'm just gonna say it. You're just treating it like I don't want to say it, not like a little bitch, but I'm trying to, in my psychology, justify it. I don't know enough about it, and I guess later on I might have a more of a deeper respect for these entities. But right now, I still have my prejudices, but I think it's really interesting, and I'm open-minded. So we're just going to move on and get to up here. This is interesting. This is part of my family tree, like Scottish tartans, and it has all these different little symbols and stuff, of family clan. I thought that's cool because I think and it has herbs in there, so it kind of. I don't think it really has anything to do with mysteries, but I think it's kind of folk, classic culture or whatever it is. But it's interesting and it gives it meaning, a sense of meaning that you have that your family tree has that crescent or something like that, and you're part of that clan. So that's interesting to me. So we're gonna move on to this is actually a little candle that comes up, and I like this. Like my dad, he he took his own life. I really don't like to say that in a new podcast. It really is not nobody's business. I'm just gonna say it to get it out of the way. But he took his own life, and a lot of Christians will say that you're doomed to hell, and I don't necessarily buy into that. And on one argument, another person might say, well, the reason why is because it's your dad, you love your dad, and you won't think anything bad of him. But my argument is, why would you think if something bad would happen? It would only continue your grief. What does it accomplish? So if you can't prove it, might as well believe in the good. I mean, even if it's not true, you won't know until the end, and who knows if any of it's true. You just choose to believe and have faith that it is. But there is something to it. I do believe there's a lot to it. It's just not until you reach that higher state of consciousness and experience and God conscious that you're able to sense it. So that's what I'm looking forward to. And these are all family pictures. This is actually the, if I can get this out without messing up everything. This is actually the crescent I have. Man, this is an old picture, dude. Like this guy right here was William Henry Taylor. Some people say that, man, we're related to President Taylor. I'm not sure about that. My grandma swears on it. She's now passed. But William Henry Taylor, so he's very rich. He was born in 1849 to 1927. And this woman was 1860 to 1990. And they, 1990, I'm sorry. They were in Chicago, and they helped Crawford County become what it was. They built a lot of log cabins and things, built a cemetery and church and other things to get the society running in Crawford County. So they had a big deal. He had like 280 acres. So I'm proud of that. He almost looks like one of those old bankers. I mean, he's not a bad looking guy. He's well dressed and kind of looks Italian or something like that. But I'm not too sure. But that's an old picture. This is my dad too. He kind of looks like Elvis Presley or something like that, man. He kind of looks like somebody from, Dirty Dancing or something. So I think it was pretty jazzy picture. He's out there pimping, doing this thing, trying to impress the ladies. So, this is my dad, and I guess the Buddy Holly look. That was his culture. He had to look formal, and my dad was part like Italian, and he thought he was Native American, but I think he was either Italian or some type of Hispanic, because my grandparents, their dad was, his middle name was Delzo or something like that. So either Italian or Hispanic, so either one of those. I have this candle up here too with beans in there also, and I have this card or book with, it says lift him up, and it has this angel lifting him up. So it's just kind of a lot of symbology just to remind me to keep a positive attitude about that whole situation. There's a little baby shoe too, whoever shoe that was, I'm not too sure, but they're being lifted up, and I believe they're going to be their younger bodies again. So this is my great grandmother, and I forgot who these two were, but I think it's my great grandmother. This is also my great grandmother on my other side of the family, and my grandmother right here, Lorraine. This is my grandmother. She's passed right now. That's Winifred, and miss her a lot. But these are, I dig the 50s look. That hair, man, dude. Some people are like, you're weird or something. I just think it's cool. You know what I mean? It's just a lot different. I never experienced that era, and just it's strange. Like women are just so cosmetically Barbie. It's just all old now. They look fake. It's just getting old. Like I like exotic looks. I don't know. But anyways, and I got these cars up here too, and I got pictures of my dad. Dude, I'd never seen him. He always talked about this '58 Chevrolet. That was his favorite car, and I never saw it either. It was almost like a thing. I don't know. When I was a kid, it was great importance to him. So I guess it stuck with me. And I finally found these pictures the other day, and I put them with it. I don't think that's exactly a 50. Yeah, it is. It's a '58 Chevrolet or '57. And I put that with that to kind of give it some synchronicity, you know, and it, also the same car with that. And I put pictures under it with his car and then his old baseball glove. There's an American flag from way back. And these are baby pictures, so at the highest level, he's back young again. You know what I mean? He's doing his thing wherever he may be. This is also a. This has some spiritual meaning to it too. This is like a attestation pilgrimage. It's like this is where my grandmother went to Jerusalem, so proud of that. It's kind of got some religious and dogma and you know, some good old culture, spirituality, I guess you could say. I also have let's see here, just random trinkets and stuff. It's got sage, a little drawer. I got some cool knives, you know. This is my grandfather's like shaving deals. It's actually still pretty sharp. But that's pretty much to sum it up, you know. I think it's a pretty neat deal, and I'm looking forward to adding to it or taking away and making it more occulted meaning or more spiritually, or make up my own, I guess, system to where it makes me proud and happy, and experiment and see what works. You know, maybe you might some entity or some spirit of, you know, the astral that's never been summoned before. It's just been waiting for you to do it, you know, and you've done it, and now your life is just great. So who knows? That's just kind of like a fairy tale, but you just never know what you're gonna get. So, and I choose not to believe, you know, if you mess with this, your outcome is going to be like, oh my God, your life's going to be so messed up. Well, my life has been kind of messed up for a few places throughout time, and it always got better, you know, even without Christianity. And also, I don't believe necessarily magic does it. Now, dark magic, if you roll into these type of arts prematurely and do things without knowing exactly what you're doing, I think there could be some harm in that. Just like religion, if you do some things without knowing exactly what you're doing in the religion, just like not knowing what the Bible really said, and you enforce things, and there's a whole bunch of people murdered now, you know, in the name of Islam, Christianity, or whatever. And you would think people would know, you know, that's the last thing God wants, is people to die because of some belief that man has judged. God, it's for God to judge. You know, it's not our decisions. You know, it's just tribalism. It's just spiritual, and not spiritual, but religious tribalism. It's either me or you. If we all focused more on what brought us together. I know I'm sounding like one of those guys. I used to be like real conservative. Like, you know, that poster had Islam cohesed together. There's all like an agenda to get us all. You know, I was thinking along those lines. But once you get, you know, and there is some kind of agenda in all that. There's always a negative agenda, I guess, for every aspect, but there's also a positive one too, and you can't make it all political and groupish, clannish, and you know, I want to be a part, believe as they believe, to feel parts. And you believe it because you know it's right in your heart, and just to be morally right. And I got these candles today too. My mom picked these up for me. She actually thought that this was like Mary and Jesus, but she's Protestant, and she doesn't know what to think of all this either. But it's quite stunning. Like, she's like, oh no, it's kind of weird. I said, well, I said to her, for example, I said, moms, I love you, but what's so different about this than the Eurocist? I mean, if you had, let's just say, a people that never heard of Christianity, and they saw what I'm doing right now, and they saw the Eurocist, which one do you think they'd be more freaked out about? By people drinking blood and pretending to eat flesh, you know, symbolizing that, or would that be more? Who's to say? You know, I would say if I was probably, I don't know. It's hard to say what I would believe, but I would like to believe that the blood and the bread being the skin, the flesh of Jesus Christ would probably be nastier. Now, on the other hand, there's a polarity to it. I don't think it's a bad thing. It's actually a ritual. It's ritual magic. You know what I mean? It brings some type of inner invocation, like spiritual meaning, some type of energy. So these heresies of what they say, I mean, it's just an attempt to erase spirituality out of life, and it's all for control, you know, like really, and about money, and about, you know, to keep the truth from the people. It wasn't up until recently when people started like getting Bibles because of the printing press, and you know, these Muslims over there had memorized their whole Quran, you know. That's why they take it so seriously, because they took it seriously for a long time. They've known their religion, so you just got to study and know how things really are, and just don't take it at face value. Say it's always been like that, because it's just always been, it just hasn't. And you gotta, and the people are ignorant of it, and they think a certain way, and that's just how they were brought up, and it's hard to change your mind. So with that, we're going to conclude this section, and I'd like you guys to like and subscribe my first ever video. That'd be super awesome. You know, leave your comments below if you want to give some tips or like topics that you want to talk about. That'd be great. Like, I kind of still want to go into the occult and religion and dogma and metaphysics. And I wanted to tell one last story too about I guess this is metaphysical too. Like, there's this experiment at a college, right? And there were two people that were just randomly selected, and they were told to enter the building and walk into the room. The student, I guess the room where, you know, they do the professor talks, and he gives all his teachings, you know, that big, where all the chairs and seats that probably fill about 300 or 400 seats or something like that. So they're told to walk to the front, and the audience is to either think hateful things about them, like, or very good things about them, whether it be like, I wish you died, you're a piece of shit, you're the scum of the earth, I hope you go to hell, you're a demon, you're a rapist, you just deserve nothing but bad things. And one was told to walk through, and people were to think happy things, like, man, this guy's just the greatest inspiration of my life, for example. You know, all those, you know, good things, the best things you could say. So the first person walked in, and they were told to think bad things. And when he got up to the stage, and the professor said, what did you feel? He said, I felt terrible. You know, it's just this energy's, you know, there's a bad energy that came to me, that everybody hated me. You know, just felt bad. And then the second person, I don't think he was even in the building. I could be mistaken, but there's no way he could have known. They did all this, you know, so to make sure this wasn't no setup or anything like that. So he walked in, and he all the people thought good thoughts, and surely enough, he felt like a good spiritual high. You know, he felt good. He felt energized and happy and joyful. And they did this over, I think, a course of a few times, and I don't want to lie about this, but they did this so many times where I believe the ratio, it's no way it could have been just coincidence. You know, these are metaphysics. You know, this is stuff that used to be hocus pocus, you know, that science considered. You know, science is always changing their stance on everything. They're almost like a religion themselves, you know. They're changing stuff. They claim to know everything. You know, they claim to know, without a doubt, they are the source for all knowledge and wisdom, which is not true. You know, because they only believe in what's in the material plane that you can experience with your five senses. But they're coming to find out that that there's other things too that you can't experience. Like, they don't know if gravity's real, or like a theory or a fact. I think in the dictionary it says they're both. You know, because they know that it pulls you down. It will every time. This is a law. You're gonna come down if you jump. But they don't know what the force is. They don't know how it works. You know, you can't measure it. You know, or something like that. And you can't see it with your senses, but it's there. It's there, and it's not there in space. apparently, if it's round Earth or flat Earth, we're not gonna get into all that crazy conspiracy stuff. But I'll have an open mind about everything, like even with flat Earth. And I don't want to ruin my channel right off the bat. But here's the thing, and as crazy as it may sound, it's probably bogus. But here's the thing too: what if one day that it was all proved to be like everything you knew was bogus? Then you feel like a guy that was just tossed to the wind and you're manipulated. You're just such a slave. I mean, you don't subscribe to any of these. It's not good to subscribe to any of these conspiracy theories just because there's a lot of information on it and it seems like it could be true. For me, I say everything's a possibility, and there's more things that are more of a possibility than others. I can tell you in the conspiracy world, but keeping an open mind is a tenet of mine, and I try to, and it just keeps me balanced. It keeps me from being brainwashed. So you get brainwashed in conspiracy, and there's a lot of crap out there, dude, just to get likes. So just remember to watch yourself when you watch stuff too, and check out other channels on magic and stuff. See what they have to offer. But there's a lot of other channels that are very esteemed and knowledgeable about magic, and I want you to comment and see what you think about my experiment of what I'm about to do with magic and learning about it and what I could possibly do. I thought about working with a Solomonic magic with the celestial spirits and seeing what happens there and get to know a little bit. I watched another video on another guy how he did it, and they say in the book, you have to do it this certain way or it's not right. That kind of gives it. You can take that literally, and I think if you work the exact way it probably brings more power. But I think that's probably more metaphorical to the power. It seems like it has a whole bunch of power, and it gives it that mystical feeling about it. But this guy had a simpler version for today's practical methods, and it looked beautiful. And the consecrations and the blessings, they were all like Christianized and Jehovah type style, with the anointing oil and holy water. Whereas in like witchcraft, you have like I'm not too sure about the witchcraft, but you have a lot of plants and nature stuff, and you worship nature and invoke nature as if it's a god. I don't know exactly, but there's a lot of differences. I'm not saying it's wrong. It's right for them. Do what works for you. Make your own stuff up, man. And you might make up something that changes everything. So leave your comments below. And this is Dave the Man. And don't leave something to get you banned. Peace out.